Why do our listeners want to discuss Oasis?
I don't know, but we obviously asked for topics requested by listeners, and Oasis came up.
Mm.
Well, go on. Are you going to say you were?
Well,
you were there.
I was amongst the chosen few. At least I thought it was the chosen few until it came to it, and then the whole world seemed to get tickets at the last minute, didn't they?
They did. I mean, some of the other people who were there who'd be sort of maybe in your sort of cohort, Simon Harris, Michael Flatley,
all the
Duffy was there as well.
All the cool dudes.
Yeah.
Keith Duffy.
Yeah.
So I was standing on the pitch, and
did you have a bucket hat or anything? No,
I actually got a bucket hat, and the reason I got a bucket hat was because I did quite a number of selfies.
Did you?
And then I thought, the bucket hat gives me some privacy, so I'll just put it on and pull it down over my face. Yeah. So it was grand. No, everybody was good form, really good atmosphere. Yeah. I went into town for a bit of lunch, little spot of lunch beforehand, went for a little few...
How rock and roll.
How rock and roll, exactly. That's what I was just thinking. It was so on rock and roll. Went to a very nice restaurant, had a bottle of wine. Not obviously on my own, but anyway. And then we went for a few beers and went up to the concert, where I had to suffer this unsufferable warm beer in a plastic cup, which people started then chucking all over the standing area, right?
Yeah.
So when it finished, I just headed with the crowds. I don't really like crowds anyway, but headed down towards the Dart. Yeah. You know, there was nowhere to go for a drink on the way down. Everywhere was a bit packed. I was feeling disgusting, covered in beer, hopped on a very hot, sweaty Dart and walked in the door and practically walked into the shower fully dressed. That's me, rock and roll. That's as far as I do it.
That's why you should be. It's a pity they didn't have a VIP box for you like you did when you went to Deacon Blue.
I would rather be in the field really for that sort of gig, than up in the corporates. I'm only saying that because
did you go to Ballinlough in the end?
No, I didn't. I missed Ballinlough.
Oh, you missed them, but you were willing to go.
Yeah, I was.
It's a kind of a...
Speaking of rock and roll, Electric Picnic, and you're going to have to tidy up your act for that. At least I've been to a little bit of rock and roll now of late. EP, I've never been.
No. I have been actually, yeah.
Have you? Years ago?
I really enjoyed it, yeah.
When?
Oh, I don't know, like a good, over a decade ago. But it's great. Really enjoyed it, like.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, we ain't doing the sleeping on the floor thing. We're going to do a little bit of glamping. And most importantly, I suppose, I have given everybody, all of us, the details of when we're on, so as we all remember. So we're on at 5:20 on Friday the 29th of August in the Ahir podcast stage in Minefield at EP. And we're doing Cocaine Cowboys, a show called Cocaine Cowboys. So anybody who's there, come along, say hello. And we will...
And don't throw beer at Nicola.
Don't throw beer at me, please. Yeah, no, it's all sticky and gross.
Possibly some sort of champagne would be more acceptable.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, if you just direct it properly and, maybe I can catch it. But, it should be an interesting experience, and we'll hang around for a little bit of the weekend. So we'll be knocking around if anybody's there.
Yes.
How many people go to Electric Picnic these days?
Oh, I don't know. I mean,
like tens of thousands.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a huge event and, really, really good. So
the last time we talked about this, I put out the call for somebody to helicopter me down and I've had 2 ridiculous offers.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
And both of them have said helicopters are super dangerous.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So I think we're just going to have to muck it.
We should get electric scooters. And maybe that would be more crime world.
Yeah, maybe it would be.
Maybe an old bad.
Anyway, that's us. And we're going to do a little bit of, in the run up to it, we're going to do a little bit. I think you need to be dressed for it in proper attire,
Boots and Wellington boots and...
Wellington boots.
Stuff like that.
Right, I'll talk to you off camera. I'll have to bring you downtown and get you sorted.
Okay.
What else are people looking to discuss?
Well, let's bring up a couple.
Yeah.
So, the new Garda Commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Drew Harris is obviously departing. Drew Harris, who originally came from the PSNI. I think it was, be right in saying it was the first kind of outside appointment in the history of the Gardaí, where they brought somebody in from outside the force, always before people have been promoted from within. And he has proved controversial, I think, on the whole, certainly amongst, maybe not so much amongst the public, but within the Gardaí.
There's been 2, is it, votes of no confidence, or 1? He hasn't been invited to the GRA conferences.
Yeah.
He has a sort of a personality that I think we've discussed it, saying that he's very political. He certainly is that. He has a very tight, chosen few around him who like him and do seem to see a part of that personality that is warm and all the rest of it. But by and large, he doesn't come across as a very warm character. I've spoken to loads of people in the force who have met him over their time when he has arrived. Sometimes he used to do this sort of arriving unannounced at a Garda station, but he had he appeared to those who met him on those occasions to have no real interest in the minutiae of policing. He was not going to dirty his hands with what was happening of an evening or a night in the city and how people were coping out there policing. He was more a sort of a guy who would make a state visit.
Well, I think he was very much, there was a bureaucratic aspect to him. Now, obviously, the reason I suppose he came in from abroad is because the guards have gone through, or not abroad.
Let's leave that in.
Well, come from another jurisdiction, let's put it that way. I think it's because the guards went through a wave of, I suppose, bad publicity. And
Leo Varadkar actually was in place when he was appointed.
Yeah.
And he was brought in from a career in RUC, which was largely based around all that spooky stuff.
Well, I mean, that would have been the early part of his career. Obviously, the PSNI would have, been the latter part of his career where there was a community policing model. I suppose one of the real sources of controversy, or one of the reasons for his unpopularity within the Gardaí, would have been the level of paperwork and the rostering issue. Now, we're not going to get into the rostering issue because it's just so complex. But certainly a lot of the guards felt that bureaucracy became much more of an issue in their job. So, there's a new Garda Commissioner coming in.
New chief in town.
Yeah.
I actually knew Justin Kelly as a guard.
Yeah.
Or certainly a detective. From memory, I think he might have been based around the Tala area.
Yeah.
And I was covering Rathfarnham district court cases.
Yeah.
Which were, I mean, we're talking back in the late 90s, I suppose, really.
Yeah.
Then
the previous
millennium. The previous century, my God. So anyway, I was, I suppose, a young journalist, and I was covering the court, which was really, really interesting. And I still look back, I think it's a great place for journalists to start, particularly anybody interested in crime, because you really have what's happening on the streets there. Yeah. But there was a lot of drug crime coming in at that point. Obviously, Dublin had been through the heroin epidemic, but there was a lot of kind of young kids from around that Tala area that were getting caught up in drug dealing activity, in joyriding, etc. And they'd come into court, and what was really sort of stood out for me was at that point, a lot of them had the backing of the granny.
Yeah.
There might have been possibly addiction problems. The grandmother was rearing the kids, and that kind of was really coming in then. But anyway, Justin Kelly was one of the detective guardas that was kind of policing that district at the time. Obviously, we both moved on with our careers. Mm-hmm. I know I actually hate when this happens, when you kind of remember somebody from back and then they get this massive big job.
Right? I
feel just such an incredible sense of jealousy and envy, maybe. No, I don't. I wish him well. But he has gone up the ranks very quickly in recent years. He
certainly is coming from the policing of organised crime. I mean, that has been the latter part of Justin Kelly's
just
career.
Recently there now, I think. I don't know, or I'm not going to claim to know anything about where Justin Kelly has been in the meantime, but he certainly was down and dirty on the streets, policing in the Tala area at that point. When I kind of was aware of him again, he had moved into the Drugs and Organised Crime Bureau, but more on a kind of a management level rather than policing as such. He was obviously very popular amongst Garda management because you could start to see him getting wheeled out. I mean, I think he ran the press conference on the ghost hack.
Yeah, think so.
Which was a kind of a multi-agency. You had the Australian police and others involved in that. And he sort of, you can see the profile getting bigger and better.
Yeah.
Now, while he is, I suppose we call him a local.
Yeah.
He has very much moved, as far as I can tell from speaking to people, into the management, has been management for quite a long time. However, maybe with that experience from, before, he will be able to connect a bit more, or at least the force and the kind of the general population of the Garda Síochána might feel a little bit more connected to him.
Yes.
It remains to be seen.
It does, and we wish him all the best because it's not going to be an easy job no matter who gets it. But we'll see the culture that Drew Harris implanted in the Gardaí, and he was very, very strong on some issues about Garda misbehaviour, and that very much was a focus. But we'll see if the culture...
Corruption, I think, is the word you're looking for.
Well, it is corruption, and he certainly was...
Scallywags, aren't they?
Well, he was certainly very strong on that. That was a cultural shift in a sort of a zero tolerance, I suppose. A
lot of things he maybe has overseen will come to fruition now in the coming years. There is a very wide, big investigation into Garda corruption. And, there you have also an investigation into members of the Hutch organised crime group and any links they might have had with Garda corruption. You also have that 10-year investigation into the Kinahan cartel. Harris was in place when McGovern came back, but presumably the new Garda Commissioner, Justin Kelly, will be the guy wearing the hat when Kinahan is returned, if that ever happens. But certainly that is the trajectory they've been on, and there is a confidence there amongst Garda management that he will be brought back. So that's a very significant place to be.
Yeah, and I think
for something like that.
And I think, in fairness to Justin Kelly, he's very much a modern police man, and I don't think anybody would say it's going back to the kind of the old brigade of the Gardaí, if you know what I mean. I think he would be.
Well, it's interesting because we saw that Seamus Boland is a detective chief superintendent in the Garda Síochána and has been really, over the last 10 years of his career, focused very much on organised crime, the Kinahans, etc., and has overseen a lot of that crackdown on them here, but has also been working abroad with our other sort of partners and police forces across Europe. But he did an interview with Ken Foy, our colleague in the Irish Independent, and of course it jumped out at me because here it was, the headline was something along the lines of, we've been investigating the Encrochat material and we're going to go for some of the biggies on it.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow, is this to do with the transfer basically of, the top job from the Garda Commissioner Drew Harris to the new incoming Commissioner Justin Kelly? Because Harris oversaw many things, he oversaw the Garda's reaction to Encrochat. And we're going to talk, you and I, later on in the week about Encrochat and about a documentary which is on Channel 4 in relation to it. And we're going to have a good discussion around all that. But that material was never used in the way it was in the UK and in other places. It was used and kept as intelligence. Are they seriously dusting down those files now and going for some of the big players? Because a lot of them will be extremely concerned if that is the case. Some of the handles that we've already seen identified, in particular in relation to the Kavanagh, the Bomber Kavanagh organised crime group, those handles were basically, they've admitted that they're theirs in a court case. Like, that's a good start.
It's a great start.
And others too that have been identified both in the north, and in the UK, because it's ridiculous to think that the lights were off in the Republic of Ireland and everybody else was communicating on Encrochat. Utterly ridiculous. We do know that the significant players in organised crime were using the phones. Some of their handles will be easily identified through cases that have happened in other jurisdictions or through their connections. I mean, in particular, we have that big elephant in the room, which is the Robbie Lawler murder, which happens smack bang as they are up on Encrochat.
Yeah.
And that is organised. It's a cross-border effort to take him out. It happens in broad daylight and it's all organised and it's all on those phones.
Yeah, so I think they are going to dust it out, and I suppose there's a number of legal challenges have gone through up to very high levels in a number of courts across Europe, and I think maybe that has empowered the Gardaí to go to the DPP and say, while obviously there's different legal jurisdiction with different laws, but I think we have seen that those cases have succeeded, and there is no justification for not trying them at the very least.
Somebody for some reason wants to know your opinion on biscuits, plain, iced or chocolate chip.
Always chocolate chip. Always chocolate chip. But never too exciting.
Myself.
I do like a hobnob.
Now, you and I differ.
Yeah.
In that, if there was a packet of biscuits on the table, I could take one. I'd probably only take half of it and put the other half back into the packet, which really irritates everyone. Yeah. And I might go back for a second half at another stage. You, on the other hand,
it's all or nothing.
Be honest.
It's all or nothing.
So would you eat a full packet of biscuits in one go?
Or none at all.
Do you remember you told me you had about 7 packets of crisps on Christmas Day once?
It's all or nothing, Nicola, the whole way. Do it all or do nothing at all. There's no medium. Okay, let's have a look at some other ones. Right, the Finglas murders in the late 1990s and the early 2000s. This is something actually I have thought we should go back to.
Yeah.
Now, if people remember Eamon Dunn, the Don.
Yeah.
He took over from Marlow Highland. He led that criminal organisation that was so closely aligned to the Kinahans, and certainly there was great pictures at the time, I think, of Eamon Dunn at a boxing match, a Matthew Macklin boxing match, where Christy Kinahan...
Try that again. Try that again. That was a bit of a mouthful anyway.
A Matthew Macklin boxing match.
Yeah.
And do you remember he had Christy Kinahan used to bring all his kind of top clients in Ireland to these boxing fights, and they'd all sit together.
They'd have a little meeting while they were there.
They'd have a little meeting. So, but
probably not a bad idea.
It's not a bad
because it'd be so noisy that even if there was bugs around, they wouldn't have been able to pick up the conversations.
Exactly.
And,
So, but if you look back...
To stop you there for 1 second before we go on about Eamon Dunn, I always found that fascinating because it was like this trilogy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was almost like The Godfather, because first you had, before Highland, you had PJ Judge.
Yeah.
And he was the Godfather there.
Yeah.
And he was taken out.
Yeah.
Number of different theories into who killed him. But one way or another, Marlow Highland takes over. And Marlow Highland is the Godfather for a period of time. And then his own take him out.
Yeah.
And Eamon Dunn becomes the new Godfather. So you have 3 of them. And then he's taken out. Now, would you take that job?
Well, if you look back at that time, most of the gangland murders were occurring in that part of Finglas.
That's right.
Eamon Dunn, personally, now, of course, there were other feuds in Limerick and that, but, the level of violence was genuinely shocking. Eamon Dunn probably led that gang for, maybe a sort of 6-7 year period, something along those lines. But there was something like 18 gangland murders, and including some really major criminal figures. Some of them, for example, John Paul Joyce, a very big criminal figure in the kind of northwest part of Dublin. I mean, he was shot dead by Eamon Dunn. He also killed a huge amount of his own associates. For example, a guy who was described as his best friend, Graham McNally, who was shot dead. So it was an absolute bloodbath, really, at times. And if you look at recent years, the rate of solving gangland murders has been hugely increased. Almost nobody went to prison for any of those murders ordered by Eamon Dunn, or very few of them were ever successfully solved. So it was a very bloody time, and it would be something that'd be interesting to go back. But I suppose it does show an ability, how the developments in DNA, CCTV, all of those things have made solving gangland murders certainly never easy, but definitely they have a better chance, I think.
Now, somebody wants us to discuss the Dubai porta potty parties.
Well, I mean, it's not something that we've written about massively, but the idea, I suppose, is these porta potties parties is that influencers or people in that
women are sent and given gifts and lured with very luxury designer gifts to private parties. Where they're then subjected to or asked to carry out some sort of degrading
sex acts, really, that they're it's sort of an idea of, I suppose.
Is this new? I mean, this has gone on since the dawn of day.
Well, it has gone on since the dawn of day, but there's two things, I suppose, with Dubai. Like, people, certainly in social media, people will look at people in Dubai, and I'm not talking about anybody in particular, people living this incredible lifestyle. Dubai is not a cheap part of the world. There is huge amounts of money floating around there in the sort of black economy as well as everything else. And certainly some people are ending up over there, some women. How are they living the lives that they're living? And there is always been this sense that there's a degree of sex work going on, unofficial sex work, not traditional sex work of people maybe offering escort services, but people, women certainly being inveigled into, exchanging sex for a lifestyle.
So you're saying this is happening in a place like Dubai, which is supposed to be very conservative, and there's laws around all this sort of stuff. Is this what's interesting? Because this sort of, I think this has always happened with the super rich. They have sort of brought women onto yachts and various things like that, given them gifts and had these sex parties. Now, some of the injuries, by the way, that have been described by some of the alleged victims of these things are horrific, including a Ukrainian girl who has supposedly had her spine broken during this. Why are we talking? Like, why is this?
Well, I'll tell you exactly why. I'll tell you exactly why. I mean, it's because some stories have been in the press about it.
Yeah.
And some women have come forward. There's also an organisation has come forward talking about young women being trafficked into Dubai for sex. So what happens of course, these things have always happened in Ireland and in other countries in the West where people are wealthy. But the difference is the legal system in Dubai, the journalistic system in Dubai, and any accountability. So if these things happened in the US or in Ireland, people could write about them, people could investigate them, they could be brought to light. Ultimately, people could be prosecuted for any criminal acts. People's finances could be looked at. People could, the police would, the politicians would be able to exert pressure if they thought something was going on, and legal laws could be changed. That's the way the world improves, in theory anyway. That all of those estates in society don't allow things to go on. The problem with somewhere like Dubai is that simply doesn't apply.
Okay, but they are luring women and focusing on women from OnlyFans side and people who are making money maybe as influencers and stuff anyway, and they're luring them with gifts.
Yes.
They're flying out to Dubai.
Yes.
To attend private parties.
And, they're being promised designer gifts, 5-star hotels, cash. But when they get out there, some of the women have come forward to say that they're being...
Things aren't all what they seem.
No, they're being pressured into to sex acts. They're being pressured into degrading sex acts.
I don't agree with any of that bit. But I mean, surely somebody who is are people so innocent that they think that they're being brought out and showered with gifts for no reason, or that,
Yeah, I think people are.
You do?
Yeah, I think people look at social media, they see a certain lifestyle, they think this lifestyle is available to me over in Dubai. But there's, and I think people are being naive about it. Absolutely think people are being naive. And you can see young women in their late teens getting over there. And Radha Sterling, who we've featured before in the podcast, who runs Detained in Dubai, said, this is her quote on it, even if women are lured or coerced, they can still be charged with crimes such as indecency or adultery, especially if married men are present. So that's the legal circumstance. Some woman says, I was subjected to this sex act. She would be putting herself in legal risk because she could be prosecuted for adultery or indecency. So yeah, it is. But what exactly goes on in Dubai, we can never fully know.
Or anywhere.
No.
Now, let's go back a little bit more locally, because Talbot Street, before we went on our holidays, and for those not living in Dublin, Talbot Street is one of our main thoroughfares, which goes from Connolly train station, down as far as O'Connell Street and the Spire and all the rest of it.
Yeah, the portal.
And the portal. And it is a mess, an absolute mess of a street. And we were talking about it before we went on holidays, and we had wanted to get out there and to try and speak to people about it and talk to local businesses and all the rest of it. There is open crack smoking. There is groups of young people selling drugs very openly.
Very openly.
On the street. It's the openness of it really that is quite stark for anybody who's not around here much. We work here. We quite like the area, actually. Yeah. It's got great character and characters as well. But it is a massive problem. And it was on Talbot Street, actually, that an American tourist was beaten some years ago, a story which went global and which, in knee-jerk reaction, both Commissioner Drew Harris and the then Justice Minister Helen McEntee visited the area. And they came in, I think, with some security, actually, to basically visit the place and to say, to commit to it being cleaned up. I would love if they came back down here now and could show us what square inch of it has been cleaned up, because it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And people are frustrated. Business people are frustrated. Tourists, I mean, you just want to protect them when you see them, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, it's that these things happen in public in the capital city, in one of the main streets off the city centre. It really isn't great. Now, you spoke about Stephen Termini being attacked, and that went through the courts, but there is a constant stream of people being stabbed. Now, these are not gangland, hard men. For the most part, these are people that are suffering from very serious addiction problems, and people are being stabbed over almost nothing. We had this
attacked, and I mean, some of the video footage, I can't look at it.
No, I mean, it's really, really grim. You will see people being attacked, and you also see, really tragically, people just collapsing on the street on a regular basis due to drinking drugs. It's a constant stream of ambulances.
And we see an awful lot of people with missing limbs, presumably from health complications of
a lot
drug
of
addiction.
A constant, people having legs amputated primarily because of injecting, impurities, I suppose. So yeah, it's
and yet there's sort of, as I said as well, it is like there's lots of really good characters around as well, and the business people are determined to stay put and to sort of, hope, I suppose, that the streets are cleaned up. We speak to people all the time. They complain about the fact that, and the Store Street Garda Station, by the way, which is one of the main Garda stations in the city, is located seconds away from here. But the business people and the locals will complain that the guards aren't out on the street because they're filling in those bloody forms for Drew Harris.
And also the ability to look, I haven't phoned 999 in a long time to seek, help. But people seem to constantly say to me, that's a real problem. That you don't ring up on the phone, Store Street, you ring this centralised system. And I don't know, I mean, I know that was a source of controversy, and the Garda management certainly said things have improved and things are being answered, but you do constantly hear complaints about that. You ring up and nothing happens. It's a funny mix of things, because we have the sort of the pockets of yuppification as well of the North Inner City, and it's alongside this really something that would have been unimaginable a period of time ago. It would have 20 years ago or whatever. I mean, I know we had drug problems then, but the idea that it would just be open and public,
exactly,
I think, it just wouldn't have been acceptable. Now, there's no easy answer. I do accept.
Now, we've lots of other really good topics as well requested by listeners, but we're going to just leave it at the moment. We'll come back to this actually, because there's really a lot of stuff in this document, and keep them coming. Keep sending us ideas of what you want to hear, questions, etc. We'll finish up with this one, and I wonder who this individual is. What do you have for breakfast?
Well, you know what I have.
One Weetabix.
Well, yes, a single Weetabix, or is it because I did? I think they did up a little graphic and everything, didn't they? Of my Weetabix.
Do you still go for that?
Still go for that, yeah. Weetabix. Milk, no.
Is it a man thing? My brother was so upset when Chivers stopped doing, was it Chivers or something, his jam, or his, marmalade that he has had since he was a child on his toast after his bowl of cornflakes, that he wrote to the company.
Did he?
Yeah, he was gutted. I don't really have breakfast, mostly.
Well,
I drink coffee, and that's why I'm absolutely starving.
I have a Weetabix, a cup of coffee, and then I meditate.
And do you meditate?
Yeah. And then I come into work.
How long do you meditate for?
Something like probably about 12 to 15 minutes, depending.
You'll have to teach me how to do that.
Yeah.
Can you meditate with a Jack Russell going at your legs?
I don't know. It's not easy.
No.
Then I come into work, sort of settled, ground myself into work. And then any sense of peace or personal balance is gone. But
got out the window. Would you need to re-meditate later in the day, maybe?
Probably need to. Yeah, but yeah, it would be good.
Is it a skill?
It's a habit. It's like getting fit.
Yeah.
Like there's no point doing it for a day. It's a habit of doing something every single day. And it's like getting fit, where it becomes sort of automatic and natural.
So it's, and can I, sorry, just,
go on.
Like, what do you think about?
Well, you try and clear your mind. I do a really basic sort of meditation. I don't know how we're ending up talking about this, but I do a basic meditation where you try and, calm your mind, concentrate on the breath coming in and out of your body.
Yeah. I've tried all that a few times, and then thinking about pushing down.
Yeah, but that's natural.
Is it?
Yeah.
Does it take a while?
It takes a while, and even then it'll still happen. And you don't, that's not, the point is not for it to be successful, it's to attempt it.
Can I ask you a question? Because you know my skills of concentration and all the rest of it, and the little issues that we have with certain things, certain little quirks, we'll call them. Do you think I'd be capable of meditating? I
think anybody would be capable of doing it. I think the problem people have is they go, people go in and say, I'm after meditating for an hour today. And they and then you talk to them a week later, did you do it again? No. But so I think you're better off doing a small amount every single day, and till it becomes second nature.
I might start on 20 seconds and see how it goes.
Well, 20 seconds, maybe give it a little bit more.
No, I think it's good though. I do think it's good. I've read a lot about it.
3 to 5 minutes, I think you could definitely
start. It is the exercise for the mind, isn't it?
It's about calming the any levels of anxiety or worry. Sort of, it doesn't eliminate them, but turns down the volume of it.
Who would have known, Niall? Right, okay.
Thanks very much.
I'm Nicola Tallant, and you're watching Crime World, a podcast about criminals, drugs and the underworld in Ireland and across the globe. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so you can be the first to watch all our latest episodes. You can also listen wherever you get your podcasts.